Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at Granblue Fantasy Relink, developed by Cygames, also developed by Platinum Games until their contract ran out and they stopped developing it and passed it solely over to Cygames. Well, they were developing it in tandem together, co-developing the game, and then when their contract ran out they passed it back to Cygames to finish, I believe. So yeah, Cygames makes several different games. They make a couple of Granblue Fantasy fighting games, and they make a mobile game of Granblue as well. They make a bunch of other mobile games and a bunch of other bits and pieces. I hadn't heard of any of it until Granblue Fantasy Relink I saw on a PlayStation showcase, and it really took my fancy. Now, this game looked really cool in the trailers, and then I played the demo and I thought, oh god, it could actually live up to what I saw in the trailers. And it blew me out of the water. Everything from its graphics and its aesthetic and everything, its systems, blew me out of the water. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I thought I have to do a video on this game. So I have to show you. Warnings now. I will not be going to story. I'll be going into the little bit of sort of how it's laid out, the game structure, which involves story. But I will not be going into the story, so no spoilers. And I will also warn you now, it is very anime. And if you don't like anime and you don't like JRPGs, don't bother watching this or playing this. It is not going to be your cup of tea. But we'll go straight into it. Now, one of the reasons I've started the main menu is because I wanted to show you guys the aesthetic of the game straight off the bat. We're going to come back to the options menu, and we're going to do that at the end of the video. We're going to jump straight into the game itself. The aesthetic of the game, everything from the visual style to the music, is absolutely phenomenal if you are into it. If you're into that anime aesthetic, you are going to absolutely love it. This is one of the very first towns you come to, or it is the very first town you come to, and you can tell just the graphic style is absolutely phenomenal. Everything from the airships in its watered colored aesthetic in the background to the church that I'm walking up to now. You may have noticed that it fade in from looking sort of watercolored in the background, and as you get closer to it, it coming into view in sort of more and more details of the aesthetically drawn visual coming into detail here. It's absolutely just gorgeous. It has blown me away. I absolutely adore it. So yeah, but this is Granblue, the game that shocked me so much that it will definitely be on one of the best games I've played this year list, and I had to make a video. I have to put this game on someone or anyone's radar, because it has just shocked me how good this game is from a company I've never heard of. So what is it? Why do I keep going on about it like this? Because on the surface it is just a JRPG, and as JRPGs go, a relatively short one. We're talking 10, 15 hours, not very long at all here. Let's go and explore the town a little bit, get some boxes, pick up some bits and pieces as you do. But 15 hours, sorry, 15, 20 hours of story with some additional side content. And that's not very long for a JRPG, but I feel like the story is a good JRPG. It's a very solid JRPG. It covers all your anime bases, and if you are into that sort of anime style JRPG video game slash series, then you will very much enjoy this game. It really does. Oh, a dragon scale, nice. It really does cover all the bases, and I really did enjoy it. That down to the number of characters in the game as well makes you feel part of a crew instantaneously. They do a very good job of, even though this is not the very first game in the series, they make you feel welcome and at home, and they don't make you feel like you've missed anything. They just make you feel like you've entered a bigger world straight off the bat. And I think they do a very, very good job of that. Now, speaking of crew, you have some people around town, like this guy here, who are part of my crew. The character I'm playing now is part of the crew, not the main character of the game, because you can pick and choose and play any crew member you like, because they all play very uniquely and very differently. But we'll go straight into that system. We'll go straight into the crew system, because it's one of those things, parts of the game, where I was like, oh, this is incredibly interesting. There's a whole sort of gacha game, Genshin style, like collecting characters kind of thing, but without any of the money, which really interested me here. So it's not gacha at all, but it does have that sort of character collection aspect to the game. So you see there's quite a few different characters you can buy here with in-game money, not real money. And there's also some characters you start off with. So this is the party I have equipped right now. And you start off with Caitlyn, Rosalie, Ramak, and a couple of others. Yeah, all the way down to Rosetta, I think. Minus Id. He's part of the other lot. All of these characters come already in your party, and you can pick and choose and hot swap them out, and they all have their own abilities, their own skills, and their own way to play, and their own skill trees and weapons and items and all sorts of other stuff. So it was like, oh my goodness gracious me, the game has a crew system, and that's really, really interesting to me. And then it shocked me even more when I started getting into the combat of the game and how the game feels to play. So when we cover that, I think we'll just go and do a small mission, because that covers another aspect of the game that we'll get into, which is when you finish that 15 or 20 hour story, the game doesn't stop. It carries on, and it carries on in a very Monster Hunter-esque way, where you have these missions that you go and you partake in, and then when you finish these missions, you will get components or gems and ore and pieces of the monster that you're fighting or boss that you're fighting. And there's a number of difficulties. I am nowhere near, it says very hard, but there's quite a few more difficulties for me to keep going through. And as you're playing the game, you then can use these components to then build and craft and upgrade items and weapons, which is like, okay, well, this game just goes from a JRPG to a Monster Hunter game to building and building and building on its sort of number of genres it's fitting into it. And it became almost a joke to me and my friends. We were like, oh, we've just got to part X, B, and C, and we would be naming not the part of the game or the chapter, but what game it was imitating. And it really did make us laugh. But yeah, so right, we're in combat right now, so I've picked just a basic boss fight here. Something quite early on, just to show you guys the combat. So this is Io. This is my favourite character in the game. She plays like a Final Fantasy 14 red mage / black mage combined into one. And every single character here plays very, very differently. You have characters that are based on dodging. Kimbo is playing a character that's based on dodging and doing infinite combos while dodging. You have characters based on comboing different abilities together and building up what they call act, and then their abilities get more and more powerful as act increases. You have characters based on doing combos and making sure there's a number of combos and linking their combos together so they don't drop the combo. And then you have this character that works on quick casting abilities to speed up your casts to do massive amounts of damage. There you go. 82,000 at a drop of a hat. It's absolutely brilliant. So what you do is you have a basic attack here. You charge up. And when you charge up enough and let it go, it adds a tier to your Stargaze. And at the end of it, you see around my character, there's a little bubble that appeared. Better get away from this before he charges me here. So, I do my ability, a bubble, and if I cast another ability while in that bubble, it'll speed it up. So, I might cast... let's not do that one. I might cast a firebolt. Ooh! I said I wouldn't do this live because I'd get absolutely trounced, but it might add to the entertainment value of it and show you some of the boss fights. Because I'm going to say, this is a basic boss. And you see how many mechanics, different systems are going on right now.
Good work.
So yeah, we're going to cast fire. And then I'm going to cast my Stargazer inside the window of opportunity, my quick cast window here, after casting fire. And I charge up very, very quickly. And I can let go and do massive amounts of damage. And that's the combat loop of this character. But to add to that, Stargazer has multiple tiers. You can see now I've only got tier 1 of it. So to get the other tiers, you have to do one ability and then another ability. Oh, I've just broken the character. So he's now stunned. And another and a basic attack. And that will give me more tiers of Stargazer. So the act of doing abilities and doing basic attacks, charged basic attacks, to then do a charged up Stargazer to get full maximum combat ability. 111,000. Bloody hell. And also I'm critting. I've got like 98% crit because of the way I've built this character. So I am critting almost every single time, and it absolutely feels phenomenal. So that's how this character sort of very basically runs. There's a little bit more to it than that, but basically runs. And it's really interesting because then you can start doing stuff like, I can do a fire, link it to a freeze, link it to the other one I did, have full stacks. We'll get onto that in a minute. And then, if I then via Stargazer, you can see how fast Stargazer is now charging up. And that's because I've correctly used my quick cast. And it has affected how fast Stargazer charges. And that's the whole act of this character, is all about making sure you efficiently use your casts and your quick casts to affect other abilities to chain everything to it and do massive damage. And I bloody love it. Absolutely love this character to pieces. And this character is very, very unique, and each character is as unique as the next. And it's incredible the level of in-depth that each character has got. And it's just, so you've got this sort of like Genshin Impact style character system inside a JRPG, inside a Monster Hunter style game, inside everything else. Viper says, oh, they're just flexing at this point. And I have to agree, they are just flexing. You can see now as we do damage and the enemy damages itself because we're dodging attacks, they go into stunned or broken phases. Right now, we've done enough damage to it where its overdrive meters full up, so it's now in like an overdrive or a rage mode, and it goes like mental, has new mechanics in this mode. As you fill up the bar underneath the little blue bar above the enemy, right there, as you fill that up, you do something called a link, and that link attack, which just flashed up there, will allow you to sort of do extra damage, increase the break chance and that sort of stuff to the enemy. So you want to be doing that. And as you get up to the link on the right hand side, when that hits 100% and you pull off a link, it will then do extra bonuses like increased crit damage, increased crit, extra damage, that kind of stuff. Ooh, got slammed by a rock. Should have dodged that. And then on top of everything on that, you then have your super, which is what everyone else was pulling off earlier. So I'm now going to do mine. And then you can chain them all together and do massive damage. But this is my super. And if anyone else's super was at 100%, it's under their health bar there on the left. Then their health, they would then go into a super as well. And then you do a big combo, chain breaker, I think it's called. Or a chained super, and you do extra damage from that. So there's loads of different systems when fighting this. And I don't want to go on too much because I could go on forever talking about it. And I'm not very good at talking and playing. We'll finish it off with a line break there and we'll kill the boss. But that's just a quick overview of the characters itself. And I thought I really have to show you the combat in game to sort of portray a little bit of what this game sort of offers when it comes down to its content. Because it's just nuts. I would not have expected this inside a JRPG. It's Monster Hunter inside a JRPG. It's bonkers. So you can see that we've opened our boxes, we've got our stuff, we've got some bonuses on the right hand side. They're gonna give us a better score. Better score is then going to lead to us having more and more loot or materials from the actual fight itself. So you see here my score, and adds up everyone else's score, gives people nice little things. I've got Lord of Crit and Last Hit. And then if you play with your friends, because it is online co-op as well, you then get bonuses and then you get a rating. That rating then leads to loot, as you can see here. So yeah, we can wrap that up and return to town. So we talk about some of the other systems, or what we're going to use that loot for. Because I earlier alluded to builds and leveling up characters and stuff like that. And each character does have a level. You see I'm level 71 here. And inside my gear, I have my weapon. And inside the weapon, I have sigils that I've equipped. You can see, I like my crit. And each character has their own type of weapon. There's samurai swords, you see some gauntlets there, big sword, daggers, guns, gunbladey things, sort of fencing sword there, broadsword, and it goes on and on, whips. So in here, each character has a number of different weapons that can be created for them. So if we use Aya as an example, I started off with one type of wand and or staff, and I was able to craft other types of staff using components that I farmed from monsters. And each one of these weapons is not necessarily better or worse than any other weapon, but has a specific thing to it. This one has stun power, this one has crit hit rate, this one has weak point damage, this one has attack, base attack bonuses. And then you go in and forge them. So I've gone with the crit hit rate. And then you can level them up. So you level them up. And then when they hit max level, you can uncap it to the next level and the next level. And then you can level them up again. So you can keep pouring resources into it to make your favorite weapon better and better and better and better and better. And then you can then imbue it with a special trait. So then this, for instance, I could put this right stone on my weapon and that would give it weak point damage as well as crit hit rate and crit hit damage. So what I'm looking for specifically right now is I'm looking for right stone for crit hit rate, to give my weapon increased crit hit rate, and then I will be able to, if we go to my gear and go to my character, I will be able to remove a crit hit rate sigil, which goes on my gear, off my character and replace it for crit hit damage. So I keep my crit rate very, very high and get increased damage. And that's where the builds come into play, is what are you going to put on your character? What are they good at? So I'm thinking, right, massive abilities, and if they can crit, they do insane amounts of damage. So that's what I want to focus on. But equally, you've got health, you've got crit rate, you've got stun power, you've got stamina, you've got enmity, you've got crit damage skill, linked, combo finisher, quick charge throw. There are a lot of different stat modifiers and sigils in this game to make a massive amount of build variety, equipped with the massive amount of character variety. And you can really craft a party around whatever you want, really. You could really put together a team and modify a team to link in with each other, and the level of complexity really does start to get nutty. But it's still simple to play, and I think that's what's so brilliant about this game. Is it is simple to play, but if you really want to get into it, I haven't had to touch anything but my own character yet. So it's been simple. But if you really want to go crazy with it, you can cut out all the characters and grind bosses and go crazy with it. It's brilliant. Here, for instance, you have a provoke where you could create a tank character. So if I really wanted, I could turn Catalina into a tank and she could provoke the boss, keep aggro from the boss. If you're a Final Fantasy player or another MMO player, you would know what taunts provoke aggro is. And you could make a tank character so the boss would stay out of your way and you can deal damage and your tank can tank stuff. Io, if you don't want to use her as a sort of a sorcerer black mage like I have, you can turn her into a bit of a healer because there is variety with the skills here. She has a healing wind, for instance. She has a paralyze. And And with those, you could sort of chain your attack abilities to quick cast heals very, very quickly. Maybe you could then put some cooldown reduction on her abilities. And then on top of all this, you've got the skill trees, which generally are quite linear. You get to pick and choose as you go down. For instance, you could focus a certain side of a tree, but you get so many skill points thrown at you that you really will just end up unlocking everything. For instance, I've just got another sigil, so I can go into IO, and now I've got another sigil, so I can then go and get some crit damage. Yeah, boy. So it was absolutely... I was really enjoying the story, and I was really enjoying the game and the aesthetic and the music, and just I really enjoying the JRPG in general and the world this game thrusts you upon and introduces you to. And then it linked this with a whole Monster Hunter themed thing, which I absolutely love. And that linked in to a party system for Genshin, like kind of party system, which I love collecting characters anyway. And then it links in with like a building and characters and building a party, a bit like decks and stuff. And I love that. So it just expanded more and more and more. And then I played more and more and more. And the game just reminded me of other things. It was just like, oh, that's from this game, and that's from this game, and that's from this game. And it has merged it all into one seamless package that just doesn't ask you for extra money and doesn't ask you for anything. It's just like, here you go. We love video games, and so we made you this. You know what? I hope you enjoy it. And I absolutely adore that about this game. So if you like JRPGs, or you like anime, or you like character builders or party builders or anything like that, jump into this. Have a play. I wanted to stick this on your radar because it really is just it's going to be the highlight of my year. We're in March, and I can tell you that it isn't going to be Power World that sits on my top 10 list. It will be games like this. It will be games that really stand out to me. And I think this is phenomenal. It's been absolutely bug-free. It runs really, really well. And it's on PlayStation. It's on Xbox. I think it's on Xbox, actually. I'm not sure. I'll put some on screen right now if it's on Xbox. It's on PC, and it's not $70. It's a little bit cheaper than that. I think it's $60 or £50 in the UK. And it's absolutely phenomenal. It's given me a lot of joy over the last week to play this, and I just felt like I had to make a video. But yeah, so we're getting to the important stuff here, which is settings, menus, graphics. So the game has a good number of options. Menu has a good number of gameplay options, which is very, very good. I've been playing on hard. It doesn't seem too challenging for myself, but if you can lower it as well. But hard is the highest it goes. Good language settings. I've been playing on English, no complaints whatsoever. Good voice acting. A friend of mine's been playing on Japanese. He's been thoroughly enjoying that as well. So that seems good. Graphics settings, you have frame rate capped at 120. So that's really, really nice. The game feels very fluid, flows very, very nicely together. We're borderless, windowed, and full screen. That's really nice. Device settings, you have graphics presets. You also have texture, rendering, and lighting. And that's more or less it, which is very, very lackluster. I would have wanted to see post-effects options in here, like ambient occlusion, what form of AA they're using, that kind of stuff. I'd have really liked to see some DLSS or FSR, but I'm not sure how that affects the drawn aesthetic of the game. It might have been a conscious effort not to add that into the game, but anyway, I would have liked to see it, or at least an explanation why it's not in the game. Motion blur on and off, that's nice. Colorblind support, really, really nice they have this. Really, really nice. As someone who's partially colorblind, thank you for adding this in here. But you've only got 2 of the 3 colorblind options, 2 of the 3 native sort of standard options. So it would be nice if you could patch the 3rd one in there. VSync on and off, which is good. But the fact you've only got texture, rendering, and lighting is a bit of a letdown. It's a little bit of a letdown. I also, with the rendering, it's based on like ultra or standard, so on and so forth. I would have liked this to be a percentage scaling. So if you're going to let me change the rendering of the effects and models, then I would have liked to be able to change the percentage based on that, like most games do. Cyberpunk does a very, very good job of how to portray this really nicely, I feel. But yeah, that would have been nice. What would have been even a step beyond that is tell me what resolution it's actually going to be rendering at. If I turn it up 50%, is that 720p? Is that 1080? Is that somewhere in between? Let me know that information. So yeah, so the graphics settings are a little bit lackluster, which is a little bit disappointing, but they're good enough. And the game does run very, very well. I've got 2 more gripes. I am going to end this video on gripes, which is a shame, but they are small. The game options, I can rebind any mouse and keyboard key, but it's a third-person action RPG. So I'm gonna use my controller, and I think most people would use a controller. And I can remap any keyboard shortcut in this game, not a problem whatsoever. Right? They even split it between town controls and battle controls. That's very, very nice. You cannot do the same with a controller. You cannot. Just no go. You get, this is it. That's it. Just these 2. Controls for battle, controls for town. That is it. I want to see more games move forward with being able to natively in-game remap controller keys. The other thing is I'm playing on a PS5 controller. This shows Xbox controls. It doesn't natively switch between PlayStation and Xbox shortcuts. So when it says press X on the screen, I actually want to press square on my controller. So that is, again, a gripe. But I want to be able to remap controls and have L1 be target lock or whatever I would like. I also would like to see the L3 and R3 being used for stuff like swapping targets, because at the moment the camera controls and swapping targets is linked together. And when I am holding down abilities to cast abilities, I have to then don't have my right hand free to change target on the right stick. So I have to have my left hand reach over and use the right stick, and it's very, very clunky. And I would have liked to see the use of an L3 in there. So when I'm casting an ability with triangle or Y and holding it down, I can just press L3 to swap target if a more priority target comes up, or that target I was fighting dies and I need to swap to another target. So yeah, I think that's all I really want to say about this game without spoiling too much of it, because it's been an absolute blast, and I hope what I have shown you sort of persuades you to give it a go, or at least put it on your wish list, because it really is a breath of fresh air from what I've played. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you again next time.